My name is Fabian Vogelsteller. I'm the founder, one of the founders of Lukso. I have been part of Ethereum in the past. I was the lead DApp developer and built a lot of the tooling and the first user interface for Ethereum. Basically, it was called the Mist browser. And a lot of the tooling, that developers use today. And my journey kind of like in Ethereum was kind of a big portion of Ethereum itself, but also because I proposed the first smart contract standard called ERC20, I, happened to really got down the standards route, which kind of is defining now what I'm doing also with Luxo. Hearing about blockchain was circumstantial. I mean, I heard about Bitcoin in 2013 and I wrapped my head around, what it is and how it works. It took me a while. I mean, I kind of felt instantly it was important, but it took me a while to technically understand it fully. That was 2013, it was kind of a bit more mystical at the time. So I really understood, that this is a big deal. We can have money now without an intermediary. Big deal. I really wanted to work in this industry, but at the time, it was not called the blockchain space. It was called, Bitcoin, and there was like wallets. You could work at the wallet team, and they were all like literally self-funded or not funded at all. It was in Reddit, but there were communities everywhere. In fact, I met the Ethereum guys in 2014 in the Bitcoin Center Berlin opening, which was a co-working space which was specifically meant to, gather all the crypto or like all the Bitcoin people at the time. And that's where I met a few people from Ethereum, literally a day before they started the pre-sale. And that kind of like also was then my direct contact into Ethereum. I basically just met them by accident. I worry following the project. I knew that this is a big deal because it was the first time an evolution from Bitcoin, like not just sending money, but you could like now do any kind of smart contracts or like little programs on the blockchain. And I really liked the concept. And then I heard they will open an office in Berlin. And I was based in Berlin. I'm still based in Berlin. And it was just a perfect fit. So I met these guys, and a day later, they started the pre-sale, which I was also eagerly waiting for. So pretty much within a week, they had money, but they were pretty disorganized, obviously. They were just trying to figure out how to set up a foundation and everything. And then a few months later, a recruiter reached out to me asking me if I want to work as a C++ developer, which I obviously have on my LinkedIn. And basically what happened is I just thought, okay, great, they're looking now. So I went to their office and talked to them. And I wrote a book about Meteor.js, so I could build applications, full stack web applications, which was perfect for Ethereum. If you want to build a decentralized app, your app should ideally only run in the browser and do not require a server. And I kind of fully knew how to do this. I even wrote a book about it. There was really not even a documentation or anything. So lucky enough, Alex van der Sande had this idea of building the Mist browser, a Web3 browser, and he really needed someone to help him with getting this, making so. And then they heard about, okay, there's this guy who can make full stack applications. That's kind of useful. And that's how I got into Ethereum. So I joined 6 months before we started the network. And with Alex together, built the first Web3 browser called the Mist browser. And it was the official Ethereum wallet as well. And basically, that's how it all got started. That's how I mean, I did not expect the growth of this. I mean, I expected the growth of Ethereum, and I knew this would be incredibly important, but I was not really thinking about that. So the token standard itself was basically that was around 4 months, 5 months after we started mainnet. People wanted to make tokens, so they knew they could build anything, but they needed some kind of guidance of how you do a certain thing. So then people were asking for tokens, obviously, because that's an obvious thing you could do on Ethereum. And actually, Vitalik then wrote an early draft of a smart contract standard page where he said, okay, this is how a token could look like. That's how a name registry could look like. I think it was a name registry. And he came up with a few basic ideas of standards. So we debated them in this wiki page And then I thought, okay, that's not the right place. We need to somehow get input from the community. Need to have a proper place where we can discuss this. So what I did is I created a proposal in this EIP repository, the Ethereum Improvement Proposal repository, which was completely fresh because Martin BC had this idea to create this repo so we can discuss, network changes. And I thought that's a great place. I can make this proposal right there. And then I thought, okay, how do I call it? Because it's not an Ethereum improvement proposal. So I thought, okay, let me call it Ethereum request for comment. Because this is a request for comment process in the web, right? So I thought Ethereum request for comment sounds about right. Created an issue, happened to be the number 20. I then took that proposal that we discussed, on this wiki page from Vitalik and changed it a little bit up and made a specification out of it in a way. And that's when we started discussing there. And very quickly, it was clear that this is kind of like, it looked like it was like a standard spec, it looked like the final thing. So people discussed, and then there was not much more changing, and then people already started using it. And that's how it became a thing. I mean, it's actually interesting. Like, yeah, this was this was in 2018. I already kind of I built the first web browser, and the wallet. I proposed a standard that took off by then already, like 2016, 2017, 2018. I was ICO wave and everything. I was working on Web3.js mainly. That was kind of the JavaScript library that developers use to interact with smart contracts. It's kind of like the important clue for you as a front-end developer to interact with Ethereum. And I kind of felt I did almost everything already. I mean, I did everything I could do there. So at the time, my partner at the time basically just like had this idea, okay, let's do, something with blockchain and lifestyle and fashion. And initially I thought, okay, that's kind of like, I mean, there were people who tried that before. I mean, lots of track and trace and all kind of stuff. But then I thought, okay, the idea of actually using lifestyle as a Trojan horse to get Web3 and decentralization into the masses makes a lot of sense. People don't ideally need to even know that they're dealing with Web3, but they can basically start using it in some form. And then ideally we use something that already is interesting to them, right? Lifestyle and how can we make this happen? So and it was really around this idea of like creating a blockchain for the creator economy. And the creator economy is literally the influencer, it's the YouTuber, it's pretty much anyone, in the internet who's doing some kind of content creation, which is what makes up the internet. And this is kind of like what then was inspiring to me. At the same time, I was a bit crazy thinking that I should make a blockchain, but this was the only thing that made sense to me. Like if we're doing this, we need to create a whole new network because it should be its own kind of like, country where all these use cases and apps and dApps will gather around. And there's more reasons that came later that were important to have a new network is because I happened to propose a standard in 2017 called ERC 725. Fun fact, that was exactly the next standard after the NFT standard 721. So it was literally time-based and the same time. But they proposed the NFT standard and I proposed a smart contract account. It was actually called the Ethereum identity, standard. Because when I proposed it, it got a lot of traction. And there was people that were really like not so happy about like Uport at the time from Consensus, their identity idea, and they were all like kind of like battling around it. And when I proposed that standard, I didn't have anything in mind of using it. I just had this urge, I need to propose it. I thought the community will take it and do something. But then when we pondered around the idea of Luxo, I realized that this identity standard or this smart contract account standard that I proposed, I really needed. It was essential. Because if you want to make a blockchain for normies, right? If you want to have the creator economy, your most important thing is your account. You can't have your account be just a private key, right? I mean, you never want to, I mean, if you want to go to bed every night and sweat to death that you're not going to lose your 5 million follower private key. And the reason is because we are trying to really separate the two. we're behaving as Web3 and then as Web2. And you're either in Web3 or you're in Web2, right? Why are we even making that separation? I just shouldn't make that separation. And obviously one separation that why it was separation is because the one thing really needs a very specific account and it happened to be quite complicated to use. And that's not the same like here. So, and combining the two is then a bit funky. So this is kind of like in the end what really drove us to focus on the development of that smart contract account because that was the essential piece. If you're making a blockchain for lifestyle or any kind of like users beyond like just trading in crypto money, the account is the most important thing. And that account should be very generic. It should be hyper flexible. It should obviously hold information, otherwise it cannot be a profile. And it should last the next 10 years. So that's quite a challenge to do. And in its essence, I already came up with the very basic idea in 2017. But I realized now, okay, now when I do Luxo, I really need to figure it all out. I need to figure all the details out of this account, not just the rough idea that I initially proposed, but really every little piece of it. So that was quite a challenge. I mean, there have been many. I mean, on the one hand, starting a decentralized network, decentralized is a
Yeah.
challenge. We got very lucky that our community just did it the right way, and it happened to be on the same technology that Ethereum uses. So on the network level, at the time when we launched, we were good because Ethereum was already working and we could use the same tech. We just modified it to work as a pure proof of stake network and started as a pure proof of stake network. But the biggest challenge was really, I mean, obviously, I guess like every founder, creating a team,
Oof.
managing a team, getting the money in to pay a team. You need to go through quite some iterations of people to find the right people. It's not easy to find the right people. And then once you have the right people, I mean, many of the ones who came had to only learn first, what it means, what this Web3 means. And then on top of this, we had to teach people this new account system, like that at the same time, we had to just figure out. So initially, when I proposed this, it was kind of like looking through milky glass. I could kind of see how it should work. And I had the very basic version already proposed back in the day, but it's not crystal clear. So that like glass over the years then got more detailed until now it's a crystal. Like the account, how it works, how every little piece works and why it works that way. And that took years to develop. I mean, the thing is, most people won't care about Web3 or they won't care about smart contract accounts or any of this stuff. I mean, what can you do with such an account? I mean, you can do crypto stuff, right? So you can hold tokens and you can participate in some kind of crypto protocol like a DAO or maybe have some crypto-based tickets or God knows what's crypto. So you can just send and receive things. That's crypto. But we have a bigger problem in the internet, and we have the problem that we do not have an account in the internet. All we have is like an email and a password to certain websites. So it's all fine and dandy as long as you post the wrong YouTube video and they demonetize you. And that's also, again, for most people, not even a problem. But what is a problem is that you're scattered all over the internet. So if you go to someone, what do you share? You share probably the most used account. For many, that's Instagram. For other people, it's Twitter, right? And for old people, for the boomers, it's Facebook. That's what you share to people. Say, hey, this is me. And then you have probably other accounts and you have probably other things that you do in the internet. And when you're specifically a creator, that's very problematic, right? Because a creator is not only about Instagram, like maybe they have some events going on, or maybe they have other content that they have somewhere, right? So what do they share? And the truth is, at best, Linktree, which is then for the person who comes, like that person comes and needs to literally do a 1 hour research to know what's going on in your life right now. That's a problem. Our fragmented internet self is a problem. A blockchain account is the first account that you can truly own yourself. That's truly just yours because you don't have just access to it in a third-party service. You have access to it on a blockchain that will purely only give the access to the person who has the right keys. And because it's done the right way, you can even have many keys controlling it. So all your devices could have access and you can even have recovery. So now you have a true account that you can long lasting control and own. So what if we take this as our nice main account? And there's a little trick to this. In the ideal scenario, and that is also what I have been kind of like envisioning, but also trying to achieve. In the ideal scenario, we have this internet account, this decentralized account, and now we just like come up with the coolest decentralized protocols all running on Luxor, because then they can truly be 100% controlled by that account. That's great, and that's probably the future where we want to get to. But how do we get there? Because obviously everybody already has their stuff somewhere, right? They're not going to, switch their social network where they have all of their friends and followers now to a complete empty social network. Or they're not going to just jump onto a new account like if there's nothing to do there. So that's where actually universal everything comes into play. And universal everything, so it's going to be a website where you have your one identity you can truly own. And you will have the ability to have all of your other social and whatever is relevant to you underneath in a nice grid. So you can literally have your Twitter feed or your Farcaster feed. You could have an event calendar where you show the next gigs that you have as a DJ. You could have whatever, you could even have your token to be buyable right in one of the grid boxes, or make them if they come and solve a puzzle or whatever you want to build. But now that website also works just not only for a person, but it also works for an organization, for a brand, for a DAO, for example, right? So now we have a unified, identity, like that unified identity that we just didn't have before. And obviously, there's lots of things that we need to build over the years. And now everybody can also build, because everybody can build a little kind of piece that you can load into your grid under your profile to convince people that this is not only the better place that you want to share, right? Your decentralized profile with all your socials below, but it's also cooler to use decentralized things. Like swap maybe your YouTube posting to some kind of decentralized YouTube playlist where you post your videos now here, because your monetization is better, or because people can give you a one-click Patreon, in crypto. So that's how we can transform and move people from Web 2 to Web 3 by showing them it's better or that it's more useful. So the hard part for us was developing the tech, like developing this foundation, because without that foundation, none of what we're building now would be possible. I mean, hence why it hasn't been possible on any other crypto page, because the UX is just bad, right? So the beautiful thing about a smart contract account, and specifically the way we build it, it's called universal profiles, is that you can go now fluidly from that one mindset to the other mindset. So like the old mindset is I have an account with a company, and the other extreme, I have my own crypto wallet, right? So you can actually, with a universal profile, have a company that controls it for you. They create it, they control it, and then they give you access to it. And now you can actually control it too. And at some point, you can say, okay, you know what, guys, I don't trust you anymore. I will give the third party now the ability to recover my profile, and that other tool that I trust more has also additional access to me, and I kick you out. So you can like go gradually. The more you trust yourself, you can change the security from centralized to fully decentralized. And it's the same account. It's not going to change. Your address, your profile is not going to change. All you change is the access control over time. That is one way of how you can literally start out centralized by having a Web3 account and transition to decentralized. The other thing with that new web page that will come, Universal Everything, is that you have the ability to have this profile that can now be the unification of all of your social stuff. So now it's useful to a Web 2 person too. If they can go just create a profile and populate it with their social media and then share it over a nice link called profile.link slash, whatever, whoever the person is, it becomes your primary sharing page, right? Instead of telling people, yeah, I have Instagram, la 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 la, just tell them here, this is my link. And from there, you can find everything I'm about. And you can even see it in one view. Oh, I have posted here. I have done some pictures here, and I have like even dropped some crypto there. If they have an easy way to create a profile and they can gather all their socials underneath their profile, then they don't need to know that this is a Web3 profile. They don't even need to care. But the moment they just start to browse around and see other profiles and they see, they have some crypto stuff here. And then maybe someone has here, click here this button and claim one of my tokens, and they do that, and there is, oh wow, now I have also this crypto token on my profile. I didn't know my profile was a decentralized or was some kind of Web3 thing, and I can own stuff here. And then maybe another app lets them, create their own token. And so that's how they go into the Web3 space. They do it by just fun exploration because they see it on other profiles. So they don't even need to come with the intent, oh, I'm going to Universal Everything because I want to have a crypto profile. They go here because it's a great link tree with which is better than Linktree. And then over time they realize that they have now a truly self-owned account, initially controlled with a passkey through their iCloud, and later controlled through their mobile app or whatever other apps that people will build. So it's about transitioning them from what they know and the problem they have, which is the scattered internet identity, to actually discovering the benefits of Web3 step by step through exploring other profiles and seeing what they put underneath their profile. And they can not only put Web2 stuff, they can put also Web3 things, which also is really nice for DApp developers because DApp developers, they have one big problem. Most of them just want to code some cool protocol, want to ideally have instantly users, and just want to do their thing without like bothering about this whole marketing and website and community creation. All they want to do is this crazy protocol, which they believe is like mind-blowingly world-changing. So on Universal Everything, you will be able to just tell the user, hey, want to add my little widget or my little website that does whatever XYZ under your profile. And if they can convince people, they have instantly exposure, right? One popular user need to put that in their grid and everybody else can see it and clone it to their profile too if they like it. So now your protocol gets instant traction and you didn't even have to build a landing page for it. The next step for Web3 and the rest of the world to discover what blockchain can do is through the social aspect. Because it's a really great foundation for a public account system. It's also a really great foundation for a more verifiable foundation for any aspects of social. Social media is great because social media is public, blockchain is public. Blockchains are verifiable, social media needs verifiability. Blockchains can transact, not only, money, but also reputation and value and be participant in a DAO and voting, God knows what. Web2 social media can't really do that. Yeah, it's the best combination of the two things. It shows the potential of blockchain beyond money, and it literally functions really well as a public account system. So hence why we build Luxo and universal profiles. It's exactly that next step. I mean, it really depends on how fast we are, I think, because I think it will happen through us. Not gonna lie, but this page is completely killer. I think if you have the ability to put all your stuff in one place, for the first time, we are able to really show like it's a useful thing for anybody who has internet and has this Web2 Pro social media presence, right? And on the other hand, it like combines and allows all of these Web3 things to be done. And on the other part, you don't even need to know about anything about crypto or even need technically, I don't know, Lux or anything to even get started. All you need to do is like create a profile and populate it and then collect things. Start out with collecting things if there's something to collect. So it's like we need to get traction on the one hand around normal users wanting to use it. And I think that's when you gather the profiles under a decentralized profile makes a lot of sense for Web2 people. And when you have that one place that becomes popular, it makes really sense for DApp developers to actually create cool things you can do in Web3. And when you bring these things together, then it's almost like, the magic spell for everything. forces together and then explodes in a crazy way. I think this is it, universal everything, universal profiles is the foundation. Luxo is the Ethereum because Luxo is Ethereum. It is a new Ethereum, so it has cheaper gas, which is great. It uses the same decentralized consensus algorithm like Ethereum. We have currently around 120,000 validator keys running the network, where we are not running a single validator. So it's purely run by people, and it has only ever run by people. It's really decentralized, and it's not a marketing stunt. That's actually the fact. And so you have Ethereum with the better standards, and now soon a website where you can literally create a decentralized profile and populate it with your social media and then do all kind of decentralized stuff, as well on whatever people will create around it. So it merges the two worlds. And if you'd ask me about a timeline, I mean, this will take obviously time. Nothing grows like instantly. There will be obviously waves and stuff like this. So let's say we will definitely see in half a year to a year, we see already some significant traction, not only from Web3, but also from Web2 to this kind of new place where you can do the things. Oh, our community is killer. So we have this very, very strong following. I mean, we had our ups and downs. First off, we are building since a while. We have been around since 2018. Really strong community since 2019, pretty much. And they have been with us all the way. I mean, if you go on Twitter and you search for Luxo, you will see some hardcore followers, like literally shilling and talking about it since years. I mean, there's so much history already. And they're also really involved, like ideating and bringing ideas and thinking about what can be done and how they can be helpful. I mean, they're really engaged. It's impressive. And the idea of like bringing it together in one place that really then becomes the home where you can show yourself and you can do things. I think that's what's missing, right? The biggest problem in Web3 I see is it's like the normal internet. The internet is scattered, right? You have all of these apps, and Web3 is the same way. There's this D app and that D app and that D app, and there's ENS around, but nobody's really like consistently using it. So you have this kind of some kind of show this ENS profile, others not. Because you don't really care about your wallet, you have like 50 that you can't probably even manage anymore by now. For in Web3, we can really for the first time build composability,
Yeah.
composable things. So that's the thing. Like imagine you have your profile page and then you have your social stuff underneath, but some of your boxes underneath that you show are basically like the apps. So that means a lot of the functionality that you get on this one website with your profile and your stuff below actually comes from other protocols because there's some widgets in there where you can, I don't know, Uniswap something or have a token generator or have a token claim thing or have a donation button or have a lending widget or whatever, where they can lend something if they return you their artist token or God knows what. So now you have one window, but even though it looks like it's a one kind of winner takes it all window, it's actually just one window where everybody can now put their content, their D-app into that window. And now the more popular these profiles get and the more popular these D-apps, the more benefit for these protocols as well. So everybody wins. The
Yeah.
beautiful thing about the internet is pretty publicly accessible. So watching your feed is publicly accessible. All I need to do is an iframe and put that iframe underneath your profile. So you just populate it once, no IPA needed, and you have your Twitter feed right underneath your decentralized profile. You don't need to do much underneath the decentralized profile. You just set it up once. But now it's the ultimate thing to share. And if you have some cool Web3 stuff, then you need to do nothing either. People will interact with that. The more you started caring, maybe you want to switch then to this Web3 native way of Twitter. Let's say it's a Farcast or Nostra or whatever, it will be. Because you already have a follower system, now a decentralized follower system on your decentralized profile. And then you have, like the decentralized feed, and you start to really want to go into that decentralized world more because maybe it's more interesting. Maybe it becomes more active through that. And maybe there's even money to be made, especially as a content creator, right? As a creator, can't make money pretty much anywhere else either. I mean, if you ask me, yes, absolutely. I mean, so this technology is here to stay. I'm in this technology since a long time. I mean, the question that like crypto is over, I mean, it is obviously more influenced by macroeconomics and by world events than it has been in the past. In the past was kind of more like this a bit of a counter movement, you know. The normal world went down, crypto went up because everybody saw it as a safe haven. Now crypto is a lot more entangled with the current financial system in some way, in many ways actually. And people are also living in this very strong uncertainty times. I mean, there's uncertainty all the time. I mean, there has been uncertainty for the last years, and now it's a bit uncertainty about like, you know, what's going to happen. You know, it's you know, Kamala Harris starting World War III, or is it Donald Trump, or is no one, or God knows what's happening. You know, I mean, it's all a bit freaky. But the interesting thing is that I think this attention and also this understanding that this is literally a technology that's here to stay and that is important will come. I think it will come more when people really, really, truly start to understand the benefits. And again, people don't like if you tell people, hey, come to my project because you have a Web3 account, doesn't really cut it. The people are not coming for that. But if they have some real usability, and so far it's kind of limited to trading, pretty much trading. So once we have real usability, and that's what we are working on, that's what Luxo is all about. Luxo is the network. Universal provides the standards, and Universal Everything will be the front end to make that happen. So that you really have some actual use, some benefits that are not only Web3 benefits, but Web2 benefits. And through that, you know, will take time, but through that, more attention will come. Overall, the market itself probably will also, you know, go back up depending on how the elections will turn out and whatever the mood swings will be. I'm pretty positive. I think this will be turning more positive. I mean, the market fluctuations happen all the time. In fact, in the overall trend, we are still up and we have been up since literally decades. So, I mean, my personal focus is not watching the market so much. So I care about what I build. I'm very excited about what I build. I'm in this building not only with Ethereum, but actually mainly with Luxo. I mean, have been in this building since 2015 pretty much, but now with Luxo since 2018. And it took a while to get the foundations right. And my belief is, or my opinion is, the reason why crypto hasn't been taken off yet because we didn't have any proper usable account system. Like you can never make people to become the super crypto native or use crypto in their life in any, you know, suitable form if your account is just a private key that you better not lose or forget. Like this will never work for an internet account. Never. So and with a smart contract account, that's solved. So this is what I have been working on. That's why it took so long to get it right. This smart contract account better be right, right? It better be exactly not only like properly manageable over time, but also something that is like not outdated like 1 year, 2 years, 3 years down the road. And it took a while to get there and then build all the tooling around it. We're building a browser extension next month planned, probably by the end of next month or maybe a little later, we're launching a mobile app and universalprofile.cloud, which is the current website where you can actually check out profiles, will transform into Universal Everything, where you will be able to put all your internet identity gathered nicely in one place and then have some good fun with Web2 and Web3, now all family marrying it together underneath a decentralized profile, right? That's a first. Never existed like this. It's never existed. Nobody has ever done it. It's even barely any kind of Web3 aggregation, social aggregation websites. There's barely none. It's really crazy that there's almost none. No idea why nobody had that idea already. It's pretty obvious idea actually. But gathering all of your scattered internet identity under one decentralized identity and then allow you to kind of like, you know, see what other people are doing in Web2 while interacting with their Web3 account. Never happened before. I have not seen it, and I'm here since a while. So Luxo is a layer one, a new blockchain that is purposely built on purposely designed with its standards to work for social culture and creators. And what that means is basically that we designed a smart contract account system, a way to interact with blockchain that is manageable by normal people. and manageable by the rest of the internet, specifically interesting for creators. Anybody in the internet pretty much is a creator. And one problem we have as creators is that we have a hard time monetizing ourselves, and we have a hard time to unify our digital identities. Luxo as a blockchain, Universal Profiles as the profile standard, combined with a website where you can basically gather all of your socials like a link tree, except that you will see all the different streams from your social in one place, basically creates a unified digital identity that is based on a decentralized account. So you can do all the Web2 stuff, showing your posts, gathering all your internet identity, and you can do the Web3 things, like transacting, receiving donations, issuing maybe an artist token, or becoming member of a DAO and doing things together as a collective in some form. Yeah, so that's what all Luxo is about. It's like creating the new internet identity foundation for the creator economy and for the rest of the internet. Luxo is the blockchain and LYX is the token. So like in Ethereum, if you want to transact on Ethereum, you need Ether. If you want to transact on Luxo, you need LYX. And the way you can get this is either by staking, securing the network, or you can purchase this somewhere on exchanges where it's traded. And it is pretty much, if you ask me, the most valuable crypto assets, are blockchain tokens because they are definitely required. You can't get rid of them because that's how these networks are secured. The transaction fees in Luxo are a bit more hidden because we have something called transaction relay services that can pay transaction fees for you, a little bit like the T-Mobile of blockchain, where users don't really need to know that they, paying transaction fees, but there's a provider that does that. But ultimately, that's what secures the networks. Follow Luxo_IO on Twitter. You can also follow me on Twitter. It's Feindura, Feindura. And you can also check me out on, Universal Profiles. So you can just go to profile.link/Feindura and you will find my profile. See what's coming in the next few weeks. It's going to be very exciting.